in the context of the increasingly intense strategic competition between China and the United States. The United Kingdom attempts to present a letter of allegiance to the United States, exert pressure on China, and thus maintain its beloved special relationship between the United Kingdom and the United States. It even acts as the pawn of the United States to confront the Chinese Navy head-on. After the British aircraft carrier HMS Queen Elizabeth sailed to the Asia-Pacific region in 2021. Recently, the aircraft carrier HMS Prince of Wales plans to head to the Asia-Pacific again to show Britain's military strength. So, will China's aircraft carrier Shandong be its opponent? The British Empire was once the largest empire in history. At the beginning of its rise, it was only a small island, but its geographical conditions were quite superior. The British Isles are located on the North Atlantic Drift. The warm current makes the average winter temperature in the United Kingdom remain around 7 degrees Celsius. The land is fertile and the precipitation is moderate. It is also the country with the most complete mineral resources in Western Europe. However, as an island country, its area is limited and there is limited room for development. The British people realized this limitation early on. Fortunately, from the British Isles, one can reach Greenland to the north, which can restrain Germany, Russia and the Baltic states. To the west and south is the vast Atlantic Ocean. The English Channel even blocks the attacks from the European continent. This is truly an excellent base for the Navy and has made Britain the most typical maritime empire in history. Relying on maritime superiority, it opened the doors of one ancient region after another and turned them into overseas colonies after defeating the Spanish Armada in 1588. Britain defeated the Netherlands from 1650 to 1674, defeated France in the 18th century, captured Canada and India from 1756 to 1763, and defeated Napoleonic France in the early 19th century, finally establishing maritime hegemony. However, after World War II, Britain lost all its colonies and then rapidly declined and was unable to compete for world hegemony anymore. Its area is too small. When the total output value of the United States with a larger population rapidly approached, Britain could only helplessly accept its gradually lagging situation and become a follower under the protection of the United States. After losing its vast colonies, Britain with only 60 million people cannot invest sufficient manpower and material resources in all fields, and can only focus on the industries with the greatest technological advantages and the highest profits. As the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution, the United Kingdom has many Nobel laureates emerging like stars after World War II. The United Kingdom did not fall behind either. It took the lead in developing advanced technologies such as jet fighters, large jet airliners, the world's first civilian nuclear reactor, soft air refueling technology, aircraft carrier steam catapults, angled decks, Fresnel approach lenses, and vertical takeoff and landing fighters. However, in the mid-1980s, the United Kingdom accepted the views of American scholars such as Alvin Toffler's The Third Wave, Daniel Bell's The Post-Industrial Society, and John Naisbitt's Megatrends and began to implement a de-industrialization policy and focus on developing the financial service industry. By the beginning of this century, the number of industrial employees had dropped from more than 5 million to 3 million. Only 10% of college students were willing to study engineering. The proportion of the service industry in the gross national product reached 70%. But after the burst of the U.S. subprime mortgage bubble in 2008, the British financial industry was severely hit, and the British economic situation took a sharp turn for the worse. And it could no longer support the huge expenses of the British Army. The number of active duty soldiers in the British Army is shrinking at a rapid speed. By 2025, It will shrink to the smallest scale into 100 years. The British Army has not been world-class for 400 years. It is difficult to confront France, Germany, and Russia alone. Suffering defeats is a common occurrence. The United Kingdom usually unites allies as much as possible, gradually weakens opponents, and mobilizes troops and besieges opponents with its powerful naval forces. It can be said that the Navy is the lifeblood of the United Kingdom. For hundreds of years, the British Navy has always been hailed as the world's strongest navy. But since the 21st century, as the overall strength of the United Kingdom has continuously declined, finances have become increasingly difficult, and defense spending has also been continuously reduced. Today's Royal Navy can no longer be compared with the navy of the empire on which the sun never sets that had thousands of ships back then. The only remaining assets to defend the dignity of the Royal Navy are the Queen Elizabeth-class aircraft carriers, the Astute-class nuclear submarines, and the Type 45 destroyers according to the National Shipbuilding Strategy General Plan for the procurement of ships by the British Navy in the next 30 years, submitted by British Defence Secretary Michael Fallon to Parliament in 2017. In the next 30 years, the strength of the British Navy will include 2 Queen Elizabeth-class aircraft carriers, 6 Type 45 destroyers, 8 Type 26 frigates, 5 Type 31E frigates, 2 littoral strike ships, 4 Dreadnought-class strategic nuclear submarines, 7 Astute-class attack nuclear submarines, and 9 River-class offshore patrol vessels. In addition, a polar icebreaker, a batch of fast supply ships and oil tankers, and 6 roll-on roll-off transport ships will be newly built. The Marine Corps will maintain the establishment of 3 Marine brigades, with each brigade having a strength of 1,800 personnel. The Royal Navy will be divided into 3 parts. The deployment fleet that can be put into combat missions at any time, the Low Alert Combat Fleet with a mission execution period of no more than 6 months, and the Reserve Fleet that will enter a state of combat readiness only for major tasks, the core of this fleet is the 2 Queen Elizabeth-class aircraft carriers launched in 1999. They are designed and built by the British Spy Systems. The first ship, HMS Queen Elizabeth, started construction in July 2009, was launched in July 2014, and entered service in December 2017. The second ship, HMS Prince of Wales, started construction in May 2011, was launched in September 2017, and entered service in December 2019. It is planned to have initial combat capabilities in 2020. The Queen Elizabeth-class aircraft carrier is the largest aircraft carrier in the history of the British Navy, with a displacement of 65,000 tons, a runway length of 261 meters, and a flight deck area of 16,000 square meters. It can carry 16 F-35B fighter jets and 24 helicopters, and can carry up to 36 F-35B fighter jets and 4-6 A-101 early warning helicopters at most. The F-35B stealth fighter is a vertical short takeoff and landing attack fighter. It can take off vertically, and also take off with the help of a ski jump deck. Under ideal conditions, 24 sorties can take off every 15 minutes, and 108 sorties can be dispatched on the first day. Its sortie efficiency is even better than that of the Nimitz-class aircraft carrier. For countries lacking an anti-stealth combat system, the F-35B stealth fighter is still quite powerful in terms of deterrence, providing air defense. Protection for the Queen Elizabeth-class aircraft carriers is the Type 45 air defense destroyer. This project was also launched in 1999. The main purpose is to fill the gap left by the retirement of 14 Type 42 missile destroyers. Originally, 12 ships were planned to be built, but due to insufficient budget, only 6 were finally built. The first ship, HMS Daring, started construction in March 2003, was launched in February 2006, and entered service in July 2009. The sixth ship, HMS Duncan, started construction in January 2007 and entered service in September 2013. The Royal Navy of the United Kingdom claims that the Type 45 destroyer is the most advanced air defense ship in the world. Its full load displacement is 7,800 tons. It is equipped with one Samson active phased array radar and a 48 Celsey Viper ship-to-air missile system, which can launch Ester-1530 air defense missiles. In addition, it is also equipped with a 114mm Mk8 main gun and a Harpoon anti-ship missile system. The Samson active phased array radar is a dual-sided array multifunctional radar. Each side has 2,500 gallium arsenide TR units, with a power of up to 25 kilowatts. The detection range can reach 400 kilometers. It can track more than 100 targets simultaneously and intercept 12 of them simultaneously. It has strong regional air defense combat capabilities and is the backbone of the British Royal Navy's ocean-going fleet currently. 8 Type 23 frigates provide the underwater protection network for the Queen Elizabeth-class aircraft carriers. This frigate has a full load displacement of only 4,000 tons. Its main weapons include one Mk8 114mm naval gun, 2 quadruple-mounted Harpoon anti-ship missile launchers, a 32 Celsey Wolf air defense missile vertical launch system, and 2 triple-mounted 324mm torpedo launchers. In the future, these 8 Type 23 frigates will be replaced by 8 Type 26 anti-submarine frigates. Originally, 13 Type 26 anti-submarine frigates were planned to be purchased, but due to insufficient budget, only 8 were finally built. The first ship, HMS Glasgow, started construction in July 2017, was launched in 2021, and is planned to enter service in 2026. The last ship, HMS London, will not be delivered until 2035. The ship has a full load displacement of 8,000 tons and is equipped with a 24-cell Mk41 vertical launch system and a 12-cell Cy Elvera 50 vertical launch system. It can carry 2 anti-submarine helicopters. Due to the small number of 8 Type 26 anti-submarine frigates, the United Kingdom launched the procurement project for 5 cheaper Type 31E frigates in 2016. The first ship started construction in 2021 and is expected to be fully commissioned in 2028. The Type 31E frigate is equivalent to a scaled-down version of the Type 26 anti-submarine frigate. It has a full load displacement of 6,600 tons and is equipped with 2 Mk56 12-cell vertical launch systems. It can launch the improved Sea Sparrow air defense missile and 2 quadruple-mounted Harpoon anti-ship missile incline launch systems, providing underwater escort for the Queen Elizabeth-class aircraft carriers is the Astute-class attack nuclear submarine. 4 were purchased in 1997 and 3 more were purchased in 2010. The first boat, HMS Astute, started construction in January 2001, was launched in June 2007, and entered service in August 2010. The seventh boat, HMS Agincourt, is planned to enter service in 2024. The Astute-class attack nuclear submarine has an underwater displacement of 7,400 tons and can carry 38 Spearfish torpedoes and American-made Tomahawk cruise missiles. The British Army claims that its silent performance is very outstanding. The noise level is only 100 decibels, which is only equivalent to a small dolphin. Its main task is to escort the Queen Elizabeth-class aircraft carriers and also sail with the Dreadnought-class strategic nuclear submarines. The United Kingdom plans to purchase 4 Dreadnought-class strategic nuclear submarines to replace 4 Vanguard-class strategic nuclear submarines. This strategic nuclear submarine has an underwater displacement of 17,200 tons and carries 12 Trident Idaho 5 submarine-launched ballistic missiles. The first boat, HMS Dreadnought, was originally planned to enter service in 2028, but was later postponed to 2030. The fourth ship, HMS King George VI, will not enter service until 2040. The other forces of the British Navy include two Albion-class amphibious dock landing ships and 3 Bay-class auxiliary dock landing ships. In 2019, the United Kingdom planned to purchase 2 littoral strike ships to fill the gap left by the sale of the HMS Ocean, a helicopter amphibious assault ship, to the Brazilian Navy. This ship is expected to transport a force of 400 people and be equipped with mobile landing pontoons, helicopters, unmanned submersibles and drones. It can form 2 littoral strike groups with the Type 26 anti-submarine frigates and the Type 31E multifunctional frigates to deploy Marines in places far from the British mainland or cooperate with the navies of allied countries. In addition to long-distance operations, the British Navy also purchased 2 batches of a total of 9 River-class offshore patrol ships from 2000 to 2021 to replace 7 Island-class patrol ships to perform tasks such as patrolling the British coastline, combating smuggling and counter-terrorism. This ship has a displacement of 2,000 tons and is only equipped with 130mm cannon and 2 general-purpose machine guns. Its combat effectiveness is almost zero and it can only be used for offshore patrols. In addition, there are 4 Tide-class fleet oilers and 1 RAF a Fort Victoria comprehensive supply ship, according to the vision of the Royal Navy of the United Kingdom. Although the scale of naval vessels will remain unchanged in the next 30 years, its technical level and combat capabilities are expected to rank among the top 5 in the world and at least be able to overpower European countries and become the maritime hegemon in Western Europe. The Royal Navy of the United Kingdom is still an ocean-going naval force that most navies in the world cannot underestimate and is a symbol of the United Kingdom restoring its former glory as a maritime power. However, the ideal is full while the reality is very skinny. The equipment manufacturing ability that makes the United Kingdom very proud is already on the decline. Just over 10 days after the HMS Queen Elizabeth, which cost £3.2 billion, entered service, it was found that the rubber sealing ring of the propeller shaft was not tight and there was a water leakage. Every hour, 200 liters of seawater flowed back into the ship. This is not the first time there has been a problem. Before the sea trials even started, the watertight hatch had a malfunction, injuring 5 crew members. Then the main shaft of the propulsion system also had a malfunction and the sea trials had to be postponed repeatedly. The Royal Navy of the United Kingdom originally planned to order 96 F-35B fighter jets to equip the HMS Queen Elizabeth and the HMS Prince of Wales. However, the purchase cost of each F-35B exceeds £150 million due to insufficient budget. The HMS Prince of Wales will not carry F-35 fighter jets, but only carry shipborne helicopters and be used as an amphibious assault ship. Because the F-35 is expensive, in order to save money, the British Air Force did not choose the F-35A with better air combat performance but purchased the F-35B. This can not only save purchase costs, but also training costs and can be deployed on aircraft carriers. It can be said that the calculation is extremely meticulous. However, most of the 48 F-35Bs ordered by the United Kingdom were given to the Air Force. In 2021, when the British government announced that it would send the HMS Queen Elizabeth aircraft carrier to the Asia-Pacific to show off its military strength, the Navy could not assemble an F-35B squadron. It could only draw 8 from No. 617 Squadron of the Air Force and borrow 10 from No. 211 Squadron of the Marine Corps Aviation of the United States to make up the numbers. The Type 45 destroyer, which costs £1 billion and has a seriously over- single ship cost, has the biggest characteristic of adopting an all-electric propulsion system. There is no transmission gear and main shaft, The main gas turbine only drives the main generator to provide the power required for propulsion and the ship itself. This design concept is extremely advanced and can be said to be a technological revolution in the shipbuilding industry. However, due to being too advanced in technology, it was forced to be put into service when it was not mature enough. The Interco Older of the Rolls-Royce WR-21 gas turbine engine it uses is unreliable. Once a power generation failure occurs, two WRTSIL-12V-100 diesel generators cannot provide sufficient power, resulting in a total power failure of the entire ship and all systems cannot work properly. Moreover, this fault is more obvious in hot regions. In 2009, the HMS Daring lost power on its maiden voyage. In 2016, 6 Type 45 destroyers were completely out of service. In 2021, the HMS Diamond broke down again when accompanying the HMS Queen Elizabeth aircraft carrier to the Asia-Pacific and had to leave the aircraft carrier battle group and return to port. The British Army proposed to replace the existing 2 MW diesel generators with 3 4 MW diesel generators to completely solve the tripping problem. So, the HMS Daring entered the dock for modification in 2017. 7 years and 4 months have passed, but it is still in the dock. While other Type 45 destroyers are still waiting for the HMS Daring to vacate the dock, the 7 Astute-class nuclear submarines are also full of problems. There are actually 57 defect. At present, they are all out of service and none is available. This is the first time in decades that there is not a single attack nuclear submarine available in the United Kingdom. The reason is that after the disintegration of the Soviet Union, the United Kingdom paused the construction of nuclear submarines for a full 10 years. During this gap period, enterprises and scientific research institutions had nothing to do and could only lay off employees, resulting in the loss of a large number of experienced engineers and technical workers. Coupled with the fact that the British government promoted de-industrialization at that time and there was no replenishment of young technical talents. When the United Kingdom began to build the Astute-class attack nuclear submarines, it found that there was a shortage of nuclear submarine technical talents. Even the preliminary demonstration and scheme design work could not be carried out normally. So it had to ask the United States to send a technical team to help and guide the design work. In the end, the plan was postponed by 3 years. The budget overran by $2 billion, and there were continuous technical problems of all sizes, resulting in all being out of service. Although all the main warships of the United Kingdom are full of problems, this still cannot stop the restless United Kingdom from making frequent moves in the Indo-Pacific region. The United Kingdom cooperates with the United States Indo-Pacific strategy against China, and tries to save its increasingly weakened great power status and global influence from the illusion of past glory. If the HMS Prince of Wales aircraft carrier is deployed to the Asia-Pacific region, from the perspective of being overly cautious in estimating the enemy, at most, the United Kingdom can only gather 12 warships by exerting all its strength to form an aircraft carrier strike group, including 1 aircraft carrier, 3 destroyers, 3 frigates, 1 attack nuclear submarine, 1 fleet oiler and 1 comprehensive supply ship, as well as 2 patrol ships that are better than nothing, and 18 F-35B fighter jets, 3 AL-101HM Point-to-Merlin early warning helicopters, and 4 AL-101HM Point-to-Merlin anti-submarine helicopters. Relying on these warships, a 5-layer air defense circle can be formed. The first layer of defense is composed of F-35B fighter jets, with a defense radius of 400 kilometers. The second layer is the 30-30 medium-range ship-to-air missiles on the Type 45 destroyer, with a defense radius of 100 kilometers. The third layer is the 16 Aster 15 ship-to-air missiles on the Type 45 destroyer, with a defense radius of 30 kilometers. The fourth layer is the 30-C SEPT or short-range point defense ship-to-air missiles on the Type 23 frigate, with a defense radius of 25 kilometers. The fifth layer is the short-range defense system, with a defense radius of 1 kilometer. The aircraft carrier itself is not equipped with ship-to-air missiles and only has the Phalanx Mk-15 close-in weapon system. The self-defense weapons of the Type 45 destroyer were originally to DS-30 autocannons. Due to insufficient firepower, two more Phalanx Mk-15 close-in weapon systems have been added. That is to say, the entire aircraft carrier strike group has 96 medium-range ship-to-air missiles, 48 short-range ship-to-air missiles, and 96 point defense ship-to-air missiles. The 8-cell Harpoon anti-ship missiles on the Type 45 destroyer, plus the 8-cell Harpoon anti-ship missiles on the Type 23 frigate, make the entire aircraft carrier strike group have a total of 48 anti-ship missiles. Due to the limited bomb base space of the F-35B fighter jet, it can only carry NSM missiles under the wings to perform anti-ship operations. However, the United Kingdom currently does not have NSM anti-ship missiles, so the aircraft carrier strike group temporarily does not have the ability to perform sea control combat missions. The British MBDA Defence Company is developing the Spear 3 small-diameter air-to-ground missile that can be loaded into the F-35B bomb bay and intends to use it as the main attack weapon for attacking ships, tanks, bunkers, and radars. However, this missile is 1.8 meters long and weighs less than 90 kilograms. Its warhead is a major weakness for anti-ship operations, and it will take 7 to 10 years before it can be equipped. The Astute-class attack nuclear submarine can carry Harpoon anti-ship missiles, but there is only one, so it is unlikely to perform anti-ship missions too far away from the main formation. If China dispatches an aircraft carrier strike group with a matching number and scale to confront the aircraft carrier strike group of the HMS Prince of Wales, it will consist of one aircraft carrier Shandong, 3 Type 055 guided missile destroyers, 3 Type 05-D guided missile destroyers, 2 Type 05 for guided missile frigates, 1 Type 093B attack nuclear submarine, and to supply ships. It includes 20 for J-15 fighter jets, 4 Z-18 early warning helicopters, 8 Z-18 anti-submarine helicopters, and 11 Ka-32 or Z-9 anti-submarine helicopters. In total, it can carry 480 HQ-9B long-range air defense missiles and 48 YJ-18 long-range anti-ship missiles, 48 HQ-16 medium-range air defense missiles, 48 HQ-16 medium-range air defense missiles, 129 HQ-10 medium-range air defense missiles, 16 U-8 anti-submarine missiles, and 16 YJ-83 anti-ship missiles. Whether in terms of the number of missiles or the range, the Chinese aircraft carrier strike group has a clear advantage in air combat operations. Both sides use early warning helicopters and can receive various sensing information including space reconnaissance. In terms of early warning, they are on an equal footing. However, the 18 F-35Bs of the United Kingdom are stealth fighter jets with a radar cross-section area of only 0.065 square meters, while the J-15 fighter jet is a non-stealth fighter jet and will be at a significant disadvantage in the confrontation with stealth fighter jets. To avoid being sneak attacked, the J-15 fighter jet can only greatly shorten the air defense circle and operate under the protection of ship-to-air missiles in sea combat operations. The British fleet, relying only on the slow-flying Harpoon anti-ship missiles, can hardly break through the defense circle of the Shandong ship with a large amount of air defense firepower. On the contrary, the 3 Type 45 destroyers with only 16 target channels can only intercept 48 anti-ship missiles at a time, and even cannot withstand the saturation salvo of anti-ship missiles from 12 J-15 fighter jets at one time. If the Type 055 destroyer carries the YJ-21 anti-ship ballistic missile, then the British aircraft carrier strike group without missile defense capabilities almost has no chance to approach the Shandong ship. Today's Royal Navy of the United Kingdom is no longer the powerful existence that could overwhelm the world in terms of technology and quantity back then. At present, the quality of its warships is inferior to that of Japan and South Korea, and the number of its warships is even less than that of India. The Type 23 frigate with the largest number is only a product from the late 1970s. The so-called new equipment is only at the technical level of the early 21st century. Moreover, due to taking to big steps, these new equipments have become nominal and out-of-service goods, compared with the booming and flourishing Chinese Navy. The Royal Navy of the United Kingdom already has an obvious generation gap, relying on such limited naval forces to come to the Asia-Pacific region to cooperate with the U.S. military in operations is undoubtedly just seeking death.